Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So, hello, Maggie. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I am watching a chipmunk do another nosedive into my bird feeder, and it's
Not
kind
a
of
nosedive.
distracting, but I'm going to ignore it for now.
Perfect. Oh man, the chipmunks and the squirrels, they just love the bird food, don't they? Used to drive
hmm
my parents absolutely bonkers. So we're here today to chat about romance novels and specifically your upcoming debut. Woo! And so I would love to know, like, backing it up, like, how did you get into reading romance to start?
Right. So I grew up in an environment that was not super friendly to romance. Let's just put it that way. So I had to
Same.
sneak the first romance novel. Yeah. It was this like masquerade one that I got from my like
Ooh.
local library. Wasn't super into it. I can't remember exactly what happened. It
Mm,
was one of those like really old school bodice rippers. But
hmm
then I discovered Julie Garwood and her like Highland warriors, and they kidnap
Ooh.
these tiny
Mm,
English women and marriage them off into Scotland, and then she like charms the whole village, and
incredible.
it was an incredible vibe. And then that led me into like Regency with like Tessa Dare, Lisa Kleypas, and then
Mm,
eventually all the way to contemporary. Um,
hmm
but importantly, there was this like YA historical pirate, what I would consider pirate romantasy. It
Ooh.
wasn't like I did have fantasy elements, but there was
Yeah.
this like pirate who like backs this girl up against the wall with a knife, and then like, he like protects her from the rest of his crew and just like steals her locket. And then she years later goes to hunt him down. And that just clearly imprinted me on me like quite a lot. I think
That's
in some ways I've always
incredible.
read romance. I even remember reading like Madeline as a child and being like, but what about like Madeline and Pepito? Like what are they doing over here?
Yeah, I feel that when I was a kid, I was like, if there's not a romance in the book or the movie, I'm not interested. Like, I'm here for the love.
hmm
But I love that historical romance was kind of like a gateway into like contemporary romance because that's how it was for me too. It was like I started reading Sarah McLean.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I was like, what is this world? This is amazing. So then when did you start writing romance?
I started writing romance in earnest around 13 to 14 when iCarly was a thing. I started writing fan fiction because I was
Ooh.
hardcore team SETI, like Sam and Freddie's like hate to love, opposites attract. I
Hmm
was so into that. Um, I have like old projects when I was like a little kid
hmm
that had, I think there's like a second chance love between like two monkeys
Oh,
at school, and
perfect.
he like left her a secret love letter and she never got it. And then years, I don't know, it was a whole thing. It was very cute. I was like, oh, this makes zero sense, but I see the bones. I see what you're doing, baby Maggie. But yeah, like
Yeah.
fan fiction took off for me. I think I wrote for like 14 years because I went from iCarly to Sunny with a Chance to Bones, and then
Oh.
eventually to just like original RP with a couple of like
hmm
online friends from across the world.
Oh, that's so cool. I really feel like I missed out by not getting into like writing fan fiction. And I didn't get into writing fan fiction because I learned about plagiarism and
hmm
had no one to be like, oh, fan fiction
Oh
is different.
no.
So I was like, oh my God, if I write these stories, like the plagiarism police are gonna come for me. And I was really scared of that as like an 8-year-old.
Oh no.
But I
I mean, it's a
know
real
so many
fear.
artists.
Like, I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly I think for me, it started as I would watch like Disney movies, or I think okay, no,
Mhm.
it was Twilight. It was
Of
Twilight
course.
because
Yeah.
I had the obsession between 13 and 14. I was looking up anything and everything I could on the internet about it, with like
hmm
my new, teenage access to the internet, unfiltered, which my parents should probably not have done.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like my gateway in, but I fully
hmm
understand that fear because I also was a like do-gooder, like I need
Yeah.
to do everything right. So
Yes. I was like, is there a rule that I can follow in this situation? No, I don't know how to cope. Like, I need some boundaries. So, what about your debut Soulgazer as a romantasy? So, I would love to know sort of like what drew you to romantasy specifically. Um,
yeah, so romantasy, that obsession is firmly planted with my bi awakening with the mummy.
nice.
No, I'm
Nice.
not super original, but it's fine. It was like the mummy and Sinbad, that like old
hmm
animated movie.
hmm
Both of those just like hit so hard for me because like you, I'm just not interested in something unless there is someone I can ship or there is an
Yeah.
existing romance of some kind.
hmm
But specifically, I love romance in particular because it is so deeply human, this need for connection and
Mm-hmm.
intimacy and companionship. Even when it's
Mm-hmm.
not like particularly romantic in nature or always romantic, there's still that human desire to be with other people. And then with romantasy, it offers us a familiar landing pad because with capital R genre romance, you're promised a happy ending. And so
Mm-hmm.
while some fantasies can lean like grim dark or be like hyper realistic or be really bloody and stuff, like the fact that you can go into a world like that and still have the promise of, okay, but these two will end together and will continue on is
Mm-hmm.
very comforting and it allows like a gateway in. So that's like part of
Yeah.
what drew me to it in particular.
So kind of like it's almost like a starting point to then like if you're worried about the fantasy worlds where it is a little darker and stuff, like romantasy can kind of be that safe space
Yeah,
to
I
sort
just think
of,
it offers
yeah,
hope too, because there is that
yeah.
again that guarantee of like, oh, there's something that's going to continue on after this.
And I think there's something beautiful about the guarantee, like the HEA guarantee and romance, romantasy, all its subgenres, that like you can put your characters through hell and
Hmm.
it can be really hard, but your readers are like, no, it's gonna be okay. Like we can survive whatever you throw at us
Exactly.
because it's gonna be okay. And I think sometimes I don't know, I mean, there have been romance books where like we get to the third act breakup and I'm like, oh my God, I can't read it. Like I'm so scared. I know it's gonna end well, but I just like I need to put the book down and breathe for a second.
I know.
But I
I
can
mean,
always go back.
I'm even guilty of that during like contemporary romance sometimes. I'm like, oh, third act breakup. I know it's coming. And sometimes it's so like I'm not like
Mhm.
opposed to it by principle. I just always have this like pit of my stomach dread.
Mhm.
So I have such a bad habit of like, oh, cool, the kiss for the first time. All right, I think I'm done. And they'll
Like
come
the
back like a
tension
few
is
days later, like, fine, I'll read the rest.
I know there's something so beautiful to like so engaging about the tension leading up to when they finally are like, fine, we'll kiss, we'll like sleep together, like we're good, we're here. And it's like, oh
Hmm.
wow. All right, that was fun. And then you've got to be like, no, but I need to know how it ends.
Hmm.
So what about like so okay, you've kind of spoken a bit about like how romantasy can fit into like the fantasy genre as like a subgenre, but what does it add to romance, right? Like what yeah, what does it add to the romance like oeuvre?
Yeah. Okay, so I just am thinking about this question. Thank you for saying them ahead of time because I would have been like, I don't know, what is romantasy?
Right, what is romance? What are books?
No,
Yeah.
truly. I view so what a few years back, I
Hmm.
saw an interview about James Cameron and how he handled Titanic.
Okay.
And the way he went and approached the story was I started it as an ensemble cast, a bunch of different shots of different people across the ship, and it lost its emotional resonance until I made you fall in
Um,
love with two people and really care about this thing. And then it just guts you when it ends
yeah.
how it ends.
Yeah.
So I view romantasy kind of similar, which is that it has this unique power to examine like complex issues, explore new ideologies, open gates and worlds. But it's also like remains familiar and human, grounding us in a love story. And
Oh.
that is where I feel like it adds so much to the romance genre, which is already explosive and incredible and
Hmm.
dynamic and diverse. But when you add fantasy into it, you're able to bring in new readers who might not have otherwise
Hmm.
approached certain topics. Like for
Hmm.
me, The Diviners by Libba Bray is not a romantasy by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. However, it was reading that story and specifically a couple of love stories like
Hmm.
Henry was my first gay character I ever read. And because I,
Hmm.
grew up conservative Christian, and so that
Hmm.
was not something I was going to seek out. And if I came across it in contemporary, I unfortunately would like put the book back on the shelf and stuff. And like, thankfully, I'm, years out of that
Hmm.
deconstructed. I'm like accepting of my own sexuality. But as
Hmm.
a teen reader, I wasn't going to come across it. But then I read this book, and it's this like 1920s, there's like mystery and paranormal, all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And watching him and his character evolve and fall in love opened my mind in a way that I never would have had access to before
Yeah.
because it was wrapped in this like romantic arc within this paranormal fantasy.
Yeah.
that made it accessible and it invited like a changing of the mind or an opening of the mind, which
Mhm.
I really appreciate. So I feel like that's
Mhm.
some way romantasy can allow that. It's almost like a trickle
Mhm.
effect. And
Yeah.
then the reverse of that, which is kind of cool, is that I feel like romantasy also opens a gate into fantasy. Because we were talking
Mhm.
earlier about writing and
Mhm.
going from like YA to adult,
Mhm.
and romantasy opens a gate into a genre that felt, well, not only felt, was very exclusive to white men for,
Mhm.
how many years, how much of
So
time,
long.
way too long. And it's allowed us in a way that, again, we didn't really have
Mhm.
access to before.
Yeah. I really love the idea of because I resonate too with the like grew up really conservative, would not have like allowed myself to read and root for queer characters, but
Mhm.
I was watching Orphan Black in college when I went to this
Yeah.
like really conservative college, and there was like Cosima and Delphine were like the sapphic ship, and I was like, well, I don't hate them, so like okay. And it was kind of like I wasn't ready at the time to be like, let's go, lesbians,
Mhm. No, I
like
get it.
but it
You're
was
like,
just like
I like that.
I know, and it like opened my heart a little bit so that then when I like moved away and was reading the contemporary way Simon versus the Homo sapien agenda,
Mhm.
which is like classic for a reason, it was like I was able to like my heart was already open to that. My mind was already open to like allowing like receiving that story
Yeah.
and like rooting for them. Um and I'd never thought of it in those terms. So that's really wonderful. How it is like because you're already like it's kind of like you're already your brain is already primed to be accepting things that are different because you're
Yeah,
reading a fantasy.
that's a perfect way to put it, honestly.
Yeah. So you can be like, and also the gays.
Yes.
I love that. I need to like sit with that, but later. But before then, I would love to know anything you want to share about Soulgazer. So like you can give the pitch for it, however long you want, like anything about the writing journey or pub process that you feel like sharing.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the pitch. So,
Okay.
I have it down to a fine line because it just for years people would ask me, "What's your book about?" I'd be like, um,
Stories?
deconstruction and self-worth and capitalism, but not all that kind of
Right.
stuff." All right. On the eve of her wedding, a sheltered young woman runs away with a notorious pirate who swears he can get rid of her deadly magic if she uses it to find a lost Isle of Myth first. Pitched as Black Sails meets Serpent and Dove,
Mhm.
Soulgazer crosses some familiar territory with a marriage of convenience and high seas adventure, but there are also more complex themes woven throughout about power, pleasure, and purity culture, all wrapped up in the realm of pirates. Um,
Oh, I got chills.
this book, this book has been with me for years and years, which is the case for most authors.
Hmm.
Um, Uniquely, Soulgazer is almost embarrassingly autobiographical
Hmm.
in some places.
Hmm.
Um, Saoirse herself she's essentially taught to hate herself, which,
Hmm.
like we've already talked about, like that was my experience. When I hit, oh God, what was it, like 25, 26 or something? It was like right around the pandemic, if not just a little bit before. Um,
Hmm.
I was in like a terrible relationship
Hmm.
that had been normalized by my culture that I live. I'm like in the American South, and it's very common to have like
Hmm.
deadbeat dudes who don't care or who like love bomb you at first until you're like, okay, fine, like I'll be in this, and then are
Hmm.
completely just apathetic and then like mocking you and then mocking things you like and expecting you to do everything for them. And oh, it
Hmm.
was just like I just woke up from that. I remember like a few, I'm not gonna go into the relationship part, but
Hmm.
I purposefully chose to stop dating. At that same time, I was also questioning aspects of the religion I was raised in versus my beliefs because I was starting to like tiptoe more into like I was meeting more people. Who would have thought, that that would change
Right.
your mind is meeting people who don't look like you or weren't raised like you. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Consuming more stories that again opened
Mhm.
that landscape in my mind. And I was like, I don't think it's normal to go through life like this, to base all my decisions on
Mm.
how can I attract a good husband? How can I like literally
Yeah.
like when I was making career choices, when I was thinking about where I would live, all those things, that was always a consideration. I was like, well, do you want like a husband and a family? Why don't you want that?
Hmm.
Or like why don't
Hmm.
you want this too? And I always wanted love. I always wanted this like passionate love affair.
Hmm.
But with the help of therapy too, let me add that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, at some point I just realized like I hate myself and I don't want
Mm.
to anymore. And so for a few years there, right when I was ideating and then writing Soulgazer, that was the peak time of like, what do I actually, who am I? What do I want
Hmm.
in life? What do I enjoy? Oh God, what is pleasure? Like I literally have a book called Pleasure Activism that got around that time too, because I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know how to experience pleasure without shame. And yeah,
Yeah. That hits.
and that all of that
Hmm.
went into Saoirse's journey, but again, making it accessible, helping me to not
Hmm.
metastasize, metabolize it, um, was adding in her magic and the fantasy element
Hmm.
of like making her deliberately distrust and hate her own power and constantly seek ways to entrap it and to suppress it. And I
Hmm.
would be lying if I said that like I didn't watch Frozen a million times when I was nannying in 2020 and 2021. So there's a little bit of that conceal don't feel in there too.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like it's a fun, rompy pirate adventure, but there is a really deep like sense of yearning and pain and like I call her a soft girl for a reason. Because she
Hmm.
is a soft girl. She's not a sword wielding baddie, and
Hmm.
she's like trying so hard to find her place. Um, but she just consistently tries. And like that's what I want
Hmm.
people to take away from that too, is just like is to ask questions and to
Yeah.
kind of poke at those like more dark inner thoughts and be like,
Hmm.
what is this trying to tell me and who is this serving? And how is it serving me to continue in these patterns without
Oh
giving
my
any
God.
answers
Yeah.
and stuff? But
Yeah. That I feel like really emotional just because like how much of what you talked about was like relatable to me. And also just like I think there's something so powerful about putting because it's relatable to so many people. So there's something so powerful about putting that in a book and a love story and like a fantasy romp and being like, you're allowed to love yourself. Like you're allowed to feel pleasure without shame. You're allowed to like, for me, it's been like desire, right? Where I was like, I don't know how to feel desire for like things
Mhm.
or people or like goals or anything without the
Oh,
deep,
exactly.
deep shame.
It's not even always like wrapped in sex. Sometimes it was just like
Yeah.
food. It was like
Yeah.
food. It was like,
Oh no, you can't eat
oh,
food.
I know. It was like food. It was like watching shows or books where I
Mhm.
remember, oh God, like even 2 summers ago, I like my friend Megan in Germany, she was like talking to me and she was like, oh, have you read this? Have you read this? I'm like, oh no, I'm like saving that. And she's like, why?
Why?
I
Yeah.
was like, that's a good fucking point.
Fair point. Let's go. Yeah. And for me, it's also a lot of like, I internalized as a youth, I was like, God's will is different from your will. And I was like, oh, okay, so what I want is not God's will, therefore I can't have it, therefore I shouldn't desire it.
Hmm.
Something my therapist gets to hear a lot about, frankly, is me
And I was
like
like, if I want it
unlearning
that bad, it has to be sinful. It has to be
it.
wrong.
Yes. Oh my
Hmm.
God. Yeah, that fucked me up for a long time.
Hmm. I get it.
Um, but even on the like, when you were like your whole life was like built around like, finding the man. I remember so distinctly like I started swearing in college. It was like the like open door to my like eventual deconstruction was that I started
Hmm.
using swear words.
Same. I
And
did that and I wore like booby dresses. And I was like, oh no, there's cleavage.
I know
Like,
I love a booby dress. Anyway, I was talking to someone and I swore and they were like, what if, this one boy that you don't even have a crush on were to like not want someone who swears. And I was like, well, I
that's what
mean,
my
like
mom,
I
my mom literally said that like she's good now. Like we have a great relationship and stuff. Like we've
yeah,
worked through a lot. But like I remember
yeah.
her saying the same thing when she's like, I just people just don't like potty mouths. And I was like, Mama.
Like, okay, well, I'll find someone who's okay with it, like, or who likes
Exactly.
it,
I
or
was
who
like,
like
why? Like, what's
appreciates
the
it.
point? Like,
Yeah, like I was always like, I'm not gonna diminish myself to like please some man. And it was the same with like writing about my mental health online. People would be like, "Oh my God, you'll never get a job." And I'd be like, "Well, then I don't want to work for those losers."
Literally, oh my God, I see you. I see you in that. And to be fair, some of my
Yeah.
blogs were like way too personal because I
Oh
was
my
leaning
God,
into that
same.
whole like martyr, like, oh, it's my testimony. I need to share it.
Mhm.
Like, no, no, baby Maggie.
Yeah.
Like those are scrubbed
Yeah.
from the internet now.
I came of like personal essay age in like 2014, 2015 when it was like we'll pay you $50 to excavate your soul. And
They
I
were
was like,
so great
sounds
though.
good. Oh my God, I wrote some pieces for Exo James and I'm like, I hope those are gone. Okay. Okay. We're gonna cycle back to like general romance. What is the best thing about writing romance? Like, what is your favorite part of
Hmm. It's the hard one ending for me.
it?
I think other authors have said it better than I can, but to feel like
Mhm.
really, really satisfied at the end of a romance, whether it's like a
Mhm.
capital R genre romance or it is a romantic plot line, it needs to feel earned. And
Mhm.
there is so much magic in that. Like when you can really just like fight tooth and nail to get to that conclusion, and then you're just like screaming at your book when they finally
Mhm.
touch hands or kiss or go into the bedroom or don't go in the bedroom and do it against the wall, like whatever it is.
Yes.
Like, but I like that is like my id is like the build. It's the build, it's the tension.
Mhm.
It's like give me two people, make me believe that for some reason, whether it's internal or external conflict or preferably both, they cannot give in to their passions or
Mhm.
it can only last a certain amount of time or whatever it is. And then like once you hit that point of like no return, there is nothing like that feeling.
Yes. And it is so hard. And I think it takes like the ending is built throughout the whole book, right? Like you have to start with like that chemistry from their first encounter,
Hmm.
where you're like, oh, I see that you want to be together. I see that you can't be together. And there's that tension. And then it's going to be so nice when you do get together.
Yeah. Oh,
So
it's so good.
endings are my toughest struggle in my books. I'm always like, and then I don't know, some stuff happens and it's over. Okay, let's go.
Oh, it
Okay.
happens. It's okay. Like I endings are hard for me. It's like it's the fun and games part. It's that like act two
Uh,
between like okay, we've made the decision to leave and now we're
yeah.
at the midpoint. That for
Hmm.
some reason is my like struggle sauce.
That's so funny. I have friends who are like that, and I'm like, but it's just the shenanigans. That's where I just make them do things, and they're like, yeah, but it's
Hmm.
hard. I'm like, I don't know, it's easier than an ending for me. But that's like, it's so funny to touch authors and be like, yeah, I think I'll be like, yeah, everyone hates writing endings, and they're like, no, actually, it's the beginning that gets me, or like it's the middle, and I'm like, oh, so we're all different. That's
I think it's like
I should have
everything.
seen
Let's just
that
be
one
real.
coming. Yeah, it's hard. It's the
It
best
is
job, but
hard.
it's hard.
It is hard. It is. I think I'm guilty. So with endings, like I like the big climax. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster and it's like like going down the end. What I don't like is
Mhm.
the wrapping it up and having to tie up loose
Yeah.
strings and then have it be like now the epilogue moment. And I'm like, but they just had a big dramatic kiss. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, no, and then they have to go into the epilogue and it's like 10 years later. Well, that's a
Hmm.
lot. 10 months later,
I mean, like historicals, it's not a lot because they'd always be like, and
Yeah.
now here's all their children.
Here are their seven babies. And I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, that's so many. So fast. Anyway, do you have any broad advice in terms of like publishing process advice, like not necessarily craft advice for aspiring authors, specifically of romance?
Yeah. Um, First thing I would say is like just be kind, respectful, and curious. We've talked a lot about being open-minded so far, going into
Mm-hmm.
this because romance, by its nature, by like the quickness of it, the turnarounds and stuff, they're able to
Mm-hmm.
explore such a massive array of topics and challenge perceptions and just in so many incredible ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and unfortunately, like there is this massive disparity outside of the romance community, both in the literary community and just the general world that just
Mm-hmm.
shits on romance constantly.
Yeah.
And so I would say just like, yeah, like kindness will get you a long way, respect and curiosity. Try to like think
Mm-hmm.
of, I would say like when you're thinking of your niche or your subgenre, um, I would like try to read as many of those as you can to just like get
Mm-hmm.
your foot in the door because like once you
Yeah.
start talking, I don't know, like the conversations can get kind of wild in a really fun way. Whereas like, oh,
Yeah.
you have this person, what about this? Oh, well, this if you like this one scene, this one particular scene, there's that
Mm-hmm.
flavor over here, and it just gets really fun.
Hmm.
But yeah, the community I feel like is really supportive of each other. They're constantly hyping each other's books. They're constantly trying to build a bigger table so that more people can join. And so I'd say like willingness to be a part of that goes a
Hmm.
long way versus trying to be like the top
Hmm.
dog or like whatever it is, or just cozy up to
Yeah.
certain people. Um,
Hmm.
as far as publishing, like we've heard it a million times, but like going to cons or finding online community spaces again will get you a long way in terms of like
Hmm.
the whole point of romance, as we talked about, is connection. And
Hmm.
so, as an author, you need to connect to other authors. Otherwise, you're a little sad, lonely island over here, and like no one's having a good
Yeah.
time. And then
Yeah.
for trad publishing in particular, I would look at the imprints you have to connect with the most. So, like the ones publishing the stories you love. So, for mine, it's like Ace and Berkley, and the
Hmm.
Berkley authors are incredible. like they all chat with each other, they hype each other up
Hmm.
constantly. They're like uplifting each other and offering blurbs.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, it's like really wonderful. But then you can also go into like the acknowledgments, see who the editors
Hmm.
are and the agents. Maybe start to find like some cross wires, like not in a creepy way, but just like
Oh yeah.
yeah, just say like as you're already gathering data, be like, oh, maybe I should go for this agent, this agent, this agent,
Hmm.
or these agents who work with these editors quite often because I think I would find something to fit with them, if that makes sense.
Hmm. That does make sense. It's kind of like getting the connections both for yourself, but also like seeing the connections throughout the industry, right? Like, oh, this person works with this person and they publish like romance, so I want to work with this person
Yeah. And
with
again,
my
being
romance.
kind, being self-aware, not
Hmm.
sliding into their DMs because that's creepy and rude and unprofessional. But like, and again,
Unless
like,
it's like a I love your books DM,
oh yeah,
but
of course, of course. I meant more
yeah.
like the editors or the agents being
Oh
like,
my God, yes, don't pitch in people's DMs.
no, just like look at their MSWO page. But like, again, none of that's original. It's just like I've found that the most helpful in my own
Hmm.
journey.
Yeah, absolutely. What about craft advice? Like, how would you, what is like one piece of advice for crafting a romance that you would give? Or three pieces of
Um,
advice, however many you have.
no, you're good. I would say tension is
Yeah,
everything. It's that tension.
yeah.
It's that little seed of conflict, that thing that's pulling you through the story. Um,
Hmm.
which is a thing we all experience, even like dating or entering new relationships and stuff. It's that flirtation, it's that chemistry, it's that something. But specifically with tension, it can go like it also has to do with timing. So like an example I thought of was Bridgerton season two. Like
Hmm.
Kate and Anthony have electric, desperate chemistry. They had a wall of tension between them. They built it so beautifully. However, I have beef with the production, with the like, who people who make Bridgerton happen, because they flubbed it with the first kiss because they did that close talking
Um,
so beautifully twice, and then they
hmm.
overworked it, and then they forgot they were writing a romance. They like went all these subplots, and so when we got to the first kiss, I was like, oh well, I okay, awesome, that's great, it's happening, but like you built me up and then you like went away. Now I'm just
Yeah.
like, well, what are we doing?
Oh my God,
Um,
yeah.
versus something like if you've seen Arcane, Kate and Vi are like one of the central couples. And
Hmm.
the way they build the tension, especially in season two, up to this like I don't want to spoil it, but like there's a wall make out like sex scene that they fight tooth and nail to get them to that point. And it is
Yeah.
like chef's kiss, screaming, crying, throwing up. Like it is incredible because they use that tension and those underlying
Yeah.
conflicts between them of like class, of what they care
Mm.
about, what their wounds are,
Hmm.
like what is driving them forward in the plot, but also internally.
Hmm.
That is so important. And so like I think that's just I'm trying to think like if there's anything else, but I think oh, the other thing is like going hand to hand with tension. I feel like you have to believe what you're writing. So
Yeah.
what I mean by that is like you can throw a genre together. You can throw some night like tropes there. You can put a knife to the throat
Hmm.
call it a day. But like I feel like if you want like a really good craft advice, like there has to be really a reason for those particular ingredients to work. So if we're thinking of it like cooking or baking and something, like you wouldn't necessarily put like cinnamon in mashed potatoes for a shepherd's pie, right? Like it's cinnamon's great. We love cinnamon. It works in savory
Yeah.
dishes, works in sweet dishes, but not in shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, I just feel like sometimes I would love to see more purpose and more reason for those fun things and
Mhm.
fun
Mhm.
ingredients to be used and work together. And it's like some
Mhm.
thoughtfulness. I feel like that is
Yeah.
again, like I can elevate a book or a moment or a scene
Yeah.
based on how you combine them versus just like throwing it in
Yeah.
there just for the sake of throwing it in
Well,
there.
like speaking of like knife to throw, right? Like that works if you've got like one character who's like a knife wielder, right? And they're like
Yeah.
they have all their knives. But if it's someone who's like a gunslinger and they suddenly pull out a knife to put it to the love interest throat, it's like, where did that come from? Like, and that's a
Yeah.
really
Or it's
silly
like,
example, but yeah.
yeah. Or it's like if they're I just want the, yeah, I want the tension. I want the build. I want that
Yeah.
like, that push and pull of conversation or a surprise element or
Hmm.
something to like earn that moment where it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way about like the like who did this to you about like even a
Yeah.
good girl. And I'm saying that as someone who has a couple of good girls in her book, but I'm like, God damn it, they need to
You've
be
got to
earned.
earn it. Yeah. It's got to be like, you've got to know why it hits for both characters, kind of, right?
Hmm.
Like, yeah. I think it sounds like kind of like be intentional, right, with the choices that you're making.
Yeah, exactly. Because like tropes
Um,
exist for a reason. And like I want
yeah,
them abundantly. They're delicious, they're fun, they're
100%.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But if we're talking craft, then yeah, like that intention and
Yeah.
the intention and tension both matter.
Hey. Yeah, and I think that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. In fact, I think my word of the year for 2024 was like intentional or something because I was like, I want to get better at like not just writing and living by like instinct and whatever, but being like, I'm putting this here because I have a reason for it. And I think like you can draft by the seat of your pants, like you can draft and just put in whatever, whenever. But when you get to revision, it's when you really like turn up
Yeah.
the heat on like, okay, but why is this here? What is it doing? Do I
Yeah.
need to change it? And that's where like a scene could go from like a 5 to a 10.
Yeah. That's such a good point too about like it coming in revisions too, because like that's what
Mm,
I'm in the middle of with book two right now. And I'm like, why did I do
hmm.
this? This is so dumb. And then I'm like
You just got to get it
tiptoeing through, I'm
on the
like,
page.
oh, there it is. But like, or I'll
Yeah.
cut it, you know, but like, it just depends.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I did a MFA program at the Vermont College of Fine Arts, and they used to always say like writing is revising. And so that's like now my mantra is like
Hmm.
you can't write without revising. Like, I
Yeah.
mean you could, it just not would
I feel
it
like
would
it's
not be
again,
as good.
it's that refinement. It's that like getting it closer to the vision in your head, getting it closer to the feelings that make you
Hmm.
like again want to throw a book against a wall. Like when
Yeah.
I'm holding a book like this, I know it's good. Like
Yes.
I just read Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan,
Hmm.
and I was just like I think my partner and I went to like go grab dinner somewhere, and I just brought the book along, and I'm just sitting here like ignoring him completely. He was fine, and I was just like, "There's a shot. Oh my God,
Oh my
you understand?"
God. I
Like,
love that. I remember when I was reading Legendborn back in 2020,
mhm.
I got to the end and I'm pretty sure that I was like reading it on my Kindle and I got to the final sequence in the book and I was like standing up in my room. Just like I
Yes.
had so much energy that I couldn't sit in bed. I had to be like physically on my feet. Oh,
Oh my
first of
God,
all,
she's
those books,
incredible. Yes.
I'm obsessed. I have a
Yes.
problem. So okay, so what is, oh yes. The next question. Can you recommend a handful of books? They don't have to be romance or romantasy, but they can be, that you'd love for watchers or listeners to read.
Yeah, actually in the back of my book I have a list of like the books that made me. So like some of these
I
are on
love
that list.
that.
Yeah, my editor's awesome. She asked me to do like a reading guide and
Yay.
some questions and stuff, and then that list of books of like recommended reading essentially.
Cool.
Um, I would say the top three,
Mm.
I said just two to four. I'll keep it simple. I'll keep it simple. Okay. For an introduction to romantasy, I would say Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin.
Um,
It
yeah.
is like the truest enemies to lovers I've ever read. It is so dynamic. Her
Mhm.
voice is like goddess level. She's awesome. Ray Bear by Jordan Ifueko. It's a complete duology. Again,
Yeah.
like her world building is phenomenal. She has that same vulnerability that Saoirse has, that like
Mm.
something is wrong in me, this is wrong, like how do I fix this? But also I love so hard. Like there's just she's so much emotions
Mhm.
tied in that I just absolutely love. Uprooted by Naomi Novik
Nice.
is. It's a fantasy with a romantic subplot that is
Hmm.
delicious. I like sob my way through parts of that book. It's inspired a new tattoo. It's phenomenal. It's just like Beauty and the Beast coded Polish fantasy. It's so
Hmm.
good. And then Always and Forever, The Diviners by Libba Bray. Like Libba Bray is my id. She's the
Oh,
DNA part of in here, like my third parent,
nice.
it's fine.
I love that. I have never read The Diviners because I like picked up somewhere that it was like a little spooky or something, and I was like, oh no, I'm scared, but I want to read them.
It,
I'm also
it's
scared.
not too bad. I'm a chicken. Like
Okay.
I've started to read a little bit more like gothic horror because I can handle it a little bit better because it
Yeah.
feels more distant.
Yeah.
Um, there's some ghosts and stuff,
Oh,
but the
okay.
idea is that it's like an American ghost story. And again, like that was one of my big
Mm.
deconstructions of like I didn't have any idea about like oh my gosh, like so many things I learned from that book.
Okay.
Just as a gateway. And again, I started researching on my own. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what is that? What is this thing?
Yeah.
It's New
Oh,
York, it's ensemble
yeah.
cast. Her voice for each character is so unique and different. It's incredibly diverse. It is like powerful, the full narrative, like the way she builds it, especially to book three, is
Mm.
like I still get chills. If you can't, if you're an audiobook person, like the audiobooks are
Okay.
elite.
Okay. Perfect. I'm writing it down in my brain. So I know you've got Soulgazer coming out imminently
Next
as
week.
of this recording. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah, I guess it'll
then
be out by the time it comes out. This comes out.
yeah, so it's out July 8th, yeah.
Mhm.
So if you're watching this after July 8th, just go buy it. And if for some reason you watch this before July 8th, pre-order it. Um, and what's next, like post Soulgazer? Like what are you working on publishing wise that you can talk about?
Right now, I'm working on book two, which is kind of secret, but I'll just like I'm jokingly calling it Phelan's identity crisis. He's the pirate. Um,
Nice.
that's pretty much all I can say about it for now. But we're in the works with that one and going through revisions at the moment. I'm a little bit behind deadline, but like it's fine. It's coming together and it's the book is like turning into what it needs to be. So I'm happy with that.
Perfect.
And the
Yeah.
next on the horizon is a book we'll be going to auction with. So I'm hoping to sell it this fall.
Mm,
And
fingers crossed.
again, broad strokes. I spent the summer in Germany 2 years ago, um, helping a friend recover from surgery. And
Mm,
during that time, I got to pop up to visit another friend in the land of the Hessians, like Kassel, which is where the Grimm's brothers
mm,
lived.
hmm.
And that's all I'll say about that.
I love that. I went to high school in Germany and an American school, so it was like a very weird
hmm
experience, but it was in the Black Forest. And
Oh,
I
good.
haven't been back since I graduated. And I
hmm
like miss it. I'm like, I miss it. It's so bad.
hmm Oh, the landscape, like
So,
the trees. The trees in Germany are like unlike anything I've
yeah,
ever seen.
it's just so beautiful. I
hmm
like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'll just pretend I'm back in high school, like walking the hills or whatever.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay, so finally, like, is there anything else you would like to add? Something else that I should have asked? Like anything you want to share?
I think for other writers, I would just constantly, as you're working on new ideas and crafts and stuff, is
Hmm.
like ask yourself if you love it. Like that
Hmm.
spark is the thing that keeps you going, whether you are pursuing agents and querying or you are in the sub trenches, trying to sell your
Hmm.
work, or you are on deadline and you already have an editor and a publisher, and you are
Hmm.
facing suddenly hundreds of voices telling you all the
Uh-huh.
best things about your book and all the worst things about your book and all their opinions.
Hmm.
Um, what I found incredibly, I've always been a storyteller, and that has never changed. The thing that did change was in 2022, I went on this writing retreat, and coming out of that, I felt like I felt so grounded in what I was doing and who I
Hmm.
was that I felt unshakable, which is like I do this because I love it. And if I don't love it, like what's the point? Like if you don't like
Yeah.
that's it's the same conversation around AI usage right now and generative AI. It's the same concept conversation around
Hmm.
so many other aspects of life is like with writing and art in particular, if you do not love it, it's not going to be sustainable. And you're
Hmm.
not going to enjoy the work. And even I don't know, I'm saying you're always going to enjoy it. Like there are going to be times where it's like fucking hard. And like I had so many mental breakdowns during draft one of book two, like on the floor crying, panic attacks. It was not a good time. Probably should
Yeah.
find my therapist again because I've been okay for a few years, but I'm like, maybe it's time, maybe it's time. But even in the midst of that, even in the midst of getting countless rejections for the first version of this book, when I was querying it as a YA,
Mm.
it was that, okay, all right, this hurts. It does
Yeah.
hurt. And I feel every bit of that pain and frustration and anger and rage, but I'm going to keep doing it because I've been doing it.
Mm.
I've been writing for my whole life. I was writing like fan fiction when my parents were begging me to like go do anything else that like involved other humans. And I'm like, no,
Moody.
that's not what I want to do. And I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it. So like y'all
Hmm.
can give it to me eventually. I would love a book deal. And like thankfully that worked
Yeah.
out. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think like if you're gonna do this, you need to just constantly ask yourself that question and like reinvigorate that spark and keep consuming stories to keep that
Mm.
passion alive. Otherwise, like what's the point?
I needed to hear that today, like specifically today. Thank you. I
I'm glad.
really appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, that is my final question. So, thank you so much, Maggie, for chatting with me today. I really enjoyed talking to you and like hearing your story, learning more about your book. I'm so excited for it.
Thank
Um,
you. It was such a
so
wonderful time.
yeah, I will stop recording.